Hello, and thank you all for coming. Welcome to The Pillars. We are a community-led space aimed at supporting protocols and educating our investors through intelligent and meaningful conversations. Here we ask the tough questions you all want answered. Now, let me introduce to you, especially to the audience who have been already listening a bit. We are talking today about Bitfighters. Bitfighters is a play-to-earn game on AVAX, and there's no native token to it, but a wrapped version of Bitcoin. So that's already something very, very interesting. How exactly everything works, I'm going to leave to Zach, of course. Zach is the lead dev and the founder. So thank you for coming today. I think I'm going to leave the introduction to the protocol to you because I think you're going to do it more justice than me today. Altogether, I also want to say we have $50 worth of NFTs giveaway. So that's 10 Bitfighters on the AVAX chain. So that's going to be, the giveaway is going to be started at some point during the Q&A. And as you know, everyone, the community questions channel is open. That's where we're going to share the links, and that's where you are free to ask all your questions. I hope you enjoy. Please ask the questions, and I'm going to dip off the stage now.
Thanks, David. Hey, everyone.
Thank you very much, David. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Eder, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. Excited to talk to you. Curious to hear about everything that you've got going on and what you're building out. I got to say, just reading through it, there's a lot to take in and a lot of moving parts, which is always fascinating, especially with games. I'm a bit of an avid gamer. I love playing games. So let's, we've only got 30 minutes. Let's kick it off with kind of a bird's eye view of what it is that you've created, what Bitfighters is, and why people should be excited about it.
Yeah, sure thing. So, Bitfighters is the game that I want to play. So, I'm a product owner, game designer all day, and I've been a gamer all my life. And I'm super critical of a lot of my work and games, especially. And I'm like, oh man, I could do this better if they just change that. Oh, why don't they do this? Oh, it's so close. Or this game's really good, super good for all these different reasons, or whatever it may be. And of course, Web3 came to be, and it gained its I guess it's like foothold with the profile pictures and whatnot. And I was pissed. I'm like, NFTs have so much potential. Why is it all about these profile pictures? Why aren't we doing more with it? Where's the gaming at? And I got into Axie Infinity, and it's like height when it was going absolutely nuts. And people in Southeast Asia were making a living selling smooth love potions and like full-time job. And I was like, what is happening? This is really cool, but this game sucks. It's such a bad game. I can't even play it. I'd rather be a manager and farm out my Axies to other people to go play it all day, grind this terrible game, and so I can kind of ROI on this. And I don't even want to manage with that. I'm not trying to be a manager or anything like that. I don't want to do that. I just want to play and have fun and earn or whatever. And I just looked around for more games. And I couldn't find anything. I was trying some other games out, doing this and that. I'm like, all right, well, time to do my own thing here. And so I flipped through my book of game designs, and I had one from about 8 years ago, quite honestly. And if you guys know Yabonks, a good childhood friend of mine, I pitched it to him about 8 years ago, and he liked it well enough that he helped me get like the first proof of concept going. And of course, this is way before Web3 stuff, so it was definitely a Web2 game. And we kind of built this little proof of concept, and it didn't really go anywhere, and we shelved it. And fast forward about a year ago, I was at this point. I'm like, just 2 years, no good Web3 games. What's going on? Time to do my own thing. Pulled out Bitfighters. I'm like, this game is perfect. This game was meant to be Web3 in so many different ways. And dusted off the cover, and I got myself a really, really good developer partner that I'm working with. Mm-hmm. And I pitched it to him. I said, hey, look, this is the game. Here's what I have. Here's my demo and everything. And he's like, this is awesome. I'm definitely want to be on this project. And we hit it off, and we've been working on this like every day since then for about a year now. And we are finally ready to release the core features here in about 4 weeks or so, beginning of October.
Great, exciting, and a long time in the making. I always like it when ideas, something that is as far as 8 years back, and a couple of childhood friends sitting down and fleshing out what they might be able to create, kind of circles back around. And it sounds to me like Web3 almost came along and provided you the perfect platform to decide right now is the right time to launch it.
Absolutely.
So what is it? What is the game in its essence, at its core? What is it? and why would people want to play it?
It is a game made for players by the players. I had a game community going on before this. It was actually telerobotics, and I don't know if I can describe that very
Um,
well, but
Let me interject for a second. If you do hear screaming in the background, no one's dying. It's my daughter pretending like she's dying.
she
So
sounds like she's
please
having a
don't be
great
put
time.
off.
So as long as she,
Well, she might be killing somebody else by the
uh-oh,
sounds of it. But yeah, so I apologize if you hear that noise in the background. It's just my kid.
no worries. But I had a telerobotics community going with some prize games, and the best way I can describe it is like a claw machine, right? And you got a USB camera, you're on your keyboard and mouse, and you can control this thing anywhere in the world. And you would win prizes. You would pay to play, you get a turn, you could win a prize. I had one going called Prize Bots, which was these like remote control RC trucks. It's a 4-player game. Everyone's working together on this coin pusher table, if you guys know Rockin' Box, and they're trying to drive these RC cars around and get these balls to knock the prize down. And once the prize falls, it's a free for all. Your friends until the prize falls, and then it's everyone for themselves. First one to get the prize in, I ship them a prize from anywhere in the world, and I loved it because I loved to like make the players happy, of course, and give them prizes and stuff. And I wasn't out to like I wasn't gonna make any money on it, of course. It was kind of a small operation, but I just love giving back because that gets them super excited, gets me super excited. And anyway, that kind of like carried itself to the Web3 place. So into Bit Fighters, it's the same thing. This thing is programmed to reward the players who have some skills that are kind of dedicated to the game. They're engaging with the game and just being lucky, being at the right place at the right time. It's all the Bitcoin that comes in. It's a zero sum game, as Dave mentioned, and
Yes.
it's one versus one, and it's kind of takes the. I feel like the charts are kind of impersonal. You don't know who you're trading against. You're trading against people, bots, whales. You don't know, but you might win. You might get your ass kicked. But in this game, you know when you're in the ring who you're fighting against. You might not know them exactly, but you know their character name or whatever. You know what they look like, and you know who wins and loses. And it's very zero sum. And all these the tax that we have implemented, it's funneling to the jackpot, the prize pool. It's going right back to the players in one way or another. I can get into all that kind of stuff, but the value.
Yes. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say the value proposition here is that this thing's programmed to reward these players that are bringing the skills to the game, engaging with the game, right place, right time. They're just in the game. They'll be rewarded for sure. And it's all in Bitcoin. So it's not like you got to go get some reward token, go take it to some exchange and sell it for $1.
Right.
Most people these days probably want to hold on to the Bitcoin and not really sell it. And if you want to sell it, it's not going to hurt anything. Our game token's not going to zero. It's going to be all right. So that's
Right.
the big value prop.
It's also great for anybody that is a Bitcoin maxi. And what I liked and heard in one of your AMAs is that you're also calling it a white label solution for any other project that wants to come in, which I think is interesting. But if we focus for now just on the player to player, one of the, I imagine, difficulties with that is that you're always going to have to vie for fresh capital coming in. And secondary to that, there are going to be players that aren't, if you're not 51% successful, then you're not going to be earning necessarily as much as you might want. And I suspect that creates a bit of a tail off. How does this ecosystem stop the tail off of players from happening and encourages people to keep coming back, even if they're not very good at the game itself?
Well, that's where I think the economy loop comes in. So you could play this game, maybe not at launch, but later. Actually, maybe you could play at launch without ever fighting a single round. For example, you could speculate on fights and bet on people's fights. So
Right.
that's one way to earn. It's not, you don't have to always be winning all the time. And you're right. You're gonna probably have to win. You're gonna have to be an average player, and you're gonna have to manage your risk and bet properly. You're gonna have to win more than you lose, right? To kind of ROI and be a profitable, skilled player. And that's if you choose to be a fighter. If that's your thing, that's fine. But if you check out the economy loop, it's kind of built. We're launching with that core feature, the fighting and the betting on the fights. But soon after will be kind of these businesses that pop up around the city where these players can go own a building, own a business in game, and it kind of circles back to the fights. You're kind of supporting that core feature one way or another. But there's all kinds of economy loops that you can get into that you don't even need to touch a fight. And I go back to, I use the Axie kind of example of farming smooth love potions, which I'll never get over. But you could totally open up a shop, for example. So here's a scenario. This is what it could look like. Because someone in the community reached out to me like, I don't like fighting games. I don't want to fight. Can I still play? I'm like, here's how you can play. You could be a shop owner. You could buy items wholesale from a factory player, some guy who owns a factory who's pumping out tons of items, who needs to offload them quickly for cheap. You buy them for cheap. you open up some shop, and now you're selling these items that people can buy to go take into the fight, take into the mines, take to some other building or whatever. And that's kind of a distribution method. You could be a mine. You could own and operate a mine where you would mint your mine with whatever kind of value you want to put inside of it under the rocks. It's kind of, I don't want to go into the game too much, but what you would do is you would then charge other players an opportunity to go into your mine and hopefully ROI. So here's how it looked like. You put $500 into your mine. You're charging $5 for 2 minutes to these players. The players, they queue up. They want to go in your mine. They say, hey, this guy's got a he's running a good mine. A lot of players are doing good here. I'm gonna go try it out. They pay $5. They get 2 minutes. Maybe they ROI. Maybe they don't. Maybe they try again. Maybe they quit. But as a mine owner, you want to ROI now. You want to make all that revenue from your customers coming in to go into your mine and hopefully pay for that mint cost and ROI on that. So everyone's trying to ROI one way or another. It's a lot of it's based on real world economy, and supply chain. And the three main features are the mines, the factories, which of course you're kind of taking those resources from the mines. Say you don't win some dollars, you don't win some bitcoins, but you win some iron ore, or you win some in-game resources. You can go take those to the factory, refine them, craft them, and now you have some valuable items that some player might want because he wants to take them to a fight or he wants to go do something with them. So there's lots of ways to earn outside of just the core fight features.
Yes,
did that answer your question
it was
decently?
It did. Yeah, absolutely. It was a fascinating read, and you know the ecosystem that you're creating. It sounds great. Is it going to be an open world platform style that you can walk up to these places? How is that going to look for the player? How easy or not so easy will it be to navigate for these players?
Yeah, it should be very easy. If you guys have played Super Nintendo, I mean, it's just D-pad, WASD, walk around and navigate.
Right.
Yeah, it should be the game.
Okay.
The user experience is always on the forefront of my mind. Like, how can I make this super pick up and play? Like, you just log in, you're in the game. You don't have to go through a bunch of cutscenes. You don't have to deal with a bunch of crap and read a bunch of text. We wanted to get you straight to the action as soon as possible.
So what then becomes important with something like this is the social aspect of the game.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and by that, I don't just mean the in-game play. I mean, the ability to communicate with one another, both in and outside of the game, be that via voice chat, text. How are you going to facilitate that? Are you creating something alongside that allows people to have that social aspect? Is it going to be predominantly on Discord? How will that work?
I'm a big fan of Discord over Telegram. Sorry if you're we're here on Discord, so I think it's safe to say, right?
Yeah,
I
me too.
preferred personally Discord over Telegram, but I guess you got to get both of them going, so that's what we did. So that's
Right.
definitely I like to engage with the community all the time, so I'll always be over in Discord. But as far as the in-game chat, we have an in-game chat, emojis, all kinds of stuff you can do to taunt each other and talk trash during a fight or whatever you want to do. I totally agree. I call this a social game. I'm a huge fan of social games, and especially browser based. And
Right.
I loved them like growing up. Like I'd stay up all night, like laughing my ass off playing like these browser based social games. I would like geek out super hard because I mean just crazy stuff would happen. You go meet some people and then stuff would happen. You go travel and go explore something and then something else would happen, and it was just adventure that would keep me up all night. And a lot of that, I'm
Right.
trying to channel and bring back to this game for sure because that experience it was so valuable to me.
And I love your educational piece. Obviously, there's a lot. You got videos that you're putting up onto YouTube, and there are going to be content creators that are going to be covering your stuff. In terms of educating people throughout the game, are there going to be any roles specific for people within the game that allow you to go speak to somebody, perhaps ask where the best hotel is or the mart is, or where you can go to a mine, for example? Is that going to exist within the game's ecosystem as well?
Kind of, sorta. So I have like a lead for that, like a stripped copper wire that's kind of ready to be developed and get into that. But really, right now, there's called like agents, and we have these one of one. I guess I'd say there's these like ultra rare mints, where if you mint a bit fighter, you're gonna get a bit fighter that's randomly created from a billion different combinations that could possibly happen. But out of those, we have 69, and of course that was a predetermined number. It just kind of came out to be that way. We're like, hey, we'll just keep it. Of these predetermined are these bit fighters that when you mint them, like you're not going to be randomized. They're going to be something that was predetermined, and they're one of one. Like no one else is ever going to mint this one ever again. And of those, there's a handful of agents, and they're dudes in suits and sunglasses. And the idea was that they'd have a special role, very similar to what you described, to where they are like community ambassadors or something like that. That would be issued to these people that want to play that
Hmm.
role. But I love the idea of that, and that is something definitely that we want to entertain. It's on the backlog for sure.
Now, one of the things that you have is the 1K Club. Can you talk us through a little bit about what that is? You were just speaking about it with David, but
Yep.
there's more people listening now. So, can you just talk us through what that is and why you guys believe it's so lucrative to get into that right now?
Yeah, so the 1K Club is an opportunity for the big money players, the whales that $5 Bitfighter ain't enough. It's not going to do it for them. And buying
Mm.
a bunch of Bitfighters, that's cool, but maybe they don't want to start be a Bitfighter trader or whatever. So to kind of get you moving faster, and there's other reasons, of course, would be to help build our treasury. It's kind of a fundraiser in a lot of regards.
Hmm.
Is the 1K Club, and what that is a special membership card. There's only 1,000 of them. Go figure. And if you own one of these cards, it's going to unlock a lot of features that no other player is going to have. And just if you guys have been checking our socials or whatever, we have the 1K Fight Club, our 1K Club prize fights that are going on right now for the
Right.
next 3 or 4 weeks. And so that's an example of what you'd have to be looking forward to. There's also, they are the treasury stakeholders. So they are the main beneficiaries of our treasury yield every month at Bitfighters. They also get to vote on how that treasury is farmed out, what they want to do with it. They get a say in it. However many cards you have is how much weight you have towards that vote. And yeah, a lot of special features. It's in our GitHub, our Git book. We got a lot of stuff there that details it, and it's it also
And it's always and it's ever appreciating as well, right? So
exactly,
each
yeah. So
time that
each
one is
subs
bought,
every
it's
time
ever
someone mints that
appreciating.
1K club, the
Yeah.
next price increases. So unless someone wants to
Now,
sell below that price, everyone's gonna have to buy whatever that current mint price is. So the sooner you get one, and if you're speculating on this and you think Bitfighters, if you can see the vision and where we want to go, and you think, hey, maybe this is something that's going to catch on, it'd be probably wise to get your 1K club sooner than later because they do increase
right.
0.555% each subsequent mint.
Now, in
A
terms of the
slow
decision
climb.
making, I found that interesting. I found it interesting that you have this game that is geared towards everybody having almost an equal chance, except for this one little aspect of the game that actually gives people a slightly higher chance.
I'm so glad you caught that.
W- why go in that route? Why not kind of build? Because what was interesting is, for example, I heard you talking about drip. And I heard you talking about some of the tokenomics that you might have coded in order to make sure that the token wasn't too inflationary. If it's in your wallet for X amount of time, you don't use it, it goes to zero and it's worth nothing, forcing you to use
Yeah,
it. Were
CBDC
you ever
101. Yeah.
right? Were you ever toying with the idea of doing something similar with not that it goes to zero, but with the 1K club, having it maybe on a rotation system that allows other people, if let's say you get to the stage where you sell all of these out, and it's obviously very lucrative, but also people might want to be in a position to make decisions. Did you toy with the idea of having them rotate, maybe forcing them onto the open market at some point once you've had them for X amount of time so that someone else gets an opportunity to jump in? Kind of what was the thinking and the design behind that exactly?
Yeah, no, that thought never crossed my mind. Actually, I would push for the opposite. We want people to hold them. We want people to be like proud of that and like see the value in it that they're never going to let it go. Hopefully, it's putting them dividends every month to where it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to sell it. And if you were
Hmm.
to sell it, I mean, you need to sell it for a high multiple to kind of make up for that lost income that you'd be making by just holding it.
Right.
But yeah, we
Understood.
want
Good
it's
answer.
I mean it's definitely the VIP. There's exclusivity to it, absolutely. Like there's only 1,000 of them, and if you can be a holder of that, you're a treasury stakeholder now in our entire
Right.
protocol. It should be a big deal.
And your current champion is Serenity, I believe.
He
He's very
did. He
proud
won
of
the
posting that
first.
picture.
He won the very first prize game at Bitfighters. Yeah,
Right.
congratulations
Yeah,
again.
good on him. As a white label solution, talk me through that, and then I'm curious to find out if you've been approaching projects because obviously one of the things that you do want to do is start bringing projects into this, right?
Yep,
Allowing them to have their own corners of this particular ecosystem.
absolutely.
How do you approach these projects, and most importantly, what's their reaction to it?
Sure. I want to get into that in just a second, but before we do, I want to go back to what you were just mentioning before about
Please do.
the whales, the potential for a whale. So in this game, the game is again my focus on player experience. We want to make it. It's a very fair playing ground for everybody, a very low barrier of entry. But what do you do about the whales? What do you do about the guys that have tons of money that want to throw around? They want to do something big. So we harness their power. And this will
Hmm.
explain it best. And if you guys saw the picture in community questions, I sent a picture of the city. And I don't have a handy picture right now, but if you can imagine that city, you're looking at you can see some city blocks there. So imagine it would be 16 blocks. There's 16 of these city blocks, and that's the town, right? So what happens then? What happens if there's more players that are in this town? What are we gonna do? So if you look at this kind of matrix that I just posted, Genesis City 00, that's the coordinates. That's the first city in every world server. So if I have to zoom out, we're gonna have servers all over the world. So right now we have one in India, we have one US East, we'll get one in the UK, our EU, we'll get one US West, we'll get one in Asia, and these are the world servers. And each world starts with a Genesis city, a single little town like you're seeing here. All right, next one. When this is how the whales are going to come in. I'm going to tell you the use case of a whale. So there's a mini game in every city, and it's to open the city gate. And if you guys have played Wordle, it's very similar. It's a cross between Wordle and the SHA-256 Bitcoin algorithm, right? That kind of secures the network. It's kind of a play on both of those games. And what you're doing as a player, you're trying to solve the puzzle, and the first player that solves that puzzle gains property rights to the adjacent city they just unlocked. It lets all the players now go to this next city. It gives them more room to expand. Going back to that theme of the game expands as the community expands. This is kind of where that plays in. So we only have enough cities that we need for players, right? If no one's trying to open up the next city, we don't have a next city, right? We concentrate you wherever the cities are. But if we have players that are trying to open this gate and crack the code, now someone just gained ownership to the city. They are the mayor, the city owner. It's their city now. Where the whales come in at is that this game is played with these things called gate keys, and they're NFT rewards, and you get them by staking your Bitcoin in an HQ. So for how much, it's $100 a Bitcoin per day produces one key, and one key gives you one chance at the game. So if you, as you can imagine, a whale could stake a small fortune in an HQ and just generate a ton of gate keys, which they could either sell if they didn't care about being a city owner or whatever, or they could go use them and have a higher chance of cracking the code and becoming a city owner. So that's the one advantage of being a whale in this game, but we harness that power because it does a couple things. First of all, it'll not only unlock a city and grow the game, which is kind of cool, but those dividends that are being generated all go to prizes. Those are not part of the treasury because they can pull those out whenever they want. The treasury is a black hole. It gets locked up indefinitely, and it just generates yield forever. We don't pull it at all. But this staking, the whale can pull out whenever they want. So all of these rewards are just going back to prizes for the players. So that's kind of the trade-off. I just saw the art question. Yeah, the art is actually yours truly.
Oh, you designed it?
Yeah.
It must be, to digress for a second, it must be exciting to have had a conversation 8 years ago with a childhood friend and to be sitting in front of an audience, throwing the art out, discussing it only a few weeks away from launch. I mean, just that journey itself must be incredible. But now knowing that you've not just created the game, but you've created it around an ability to allow people to make money must be even more rewarding for you, I suspect.
I see how you can think that, but it feels like 1 week of time. It's gone by so fast. In my head spinning so fast. I really don't have time to even think about or enjoy those kind of thoughts, I guess. I don't know the way of putting it, but just there's a lot going on. I'll just put it that way. But
hopefully at some point there will be a time where you are able to enjoy it once it launches and once it's all running. I guess you can then kind of take a moment for yourself. Right?
Hey Mad Hatter, I'll tell you this. Once I can just go check out Bitfighters and just people having a good time and playing. I'll sit back, smoke one, and say, you know what, we made it. We did it. We created something. People are here playing, having a good time. I'll put my feet up on my desk and say, this is it. We did it.
Right.
But until then, I'm not resting.
In terms of the projects that you want to bring in, how are you approaching them? Are you approaching them? Do you wait for them to come to you? And, predominantly, what is their reaction to this?
It's been a little a combination of both. Here's how it works, first of all, because I think it's kind of a novel idea. It's kind of interesting how this works. As you said, we're kind of a white label. We're Bitcoin. We don't have our own native token. We're not fighting for attention to go buy our token. Buy our token. We have a huge market cap. We don't care. We're Bitcoin. So that allows us to bring everyone else's tokens in, and we can give you utility. And this is kind of how it works. We have, if you guys have seen the brew machine or the brews, our in-game potions. So whenever you purchase a brew, half of that purchase goes to the prize pool, again, to reward the players. The other half goes to the flavor of brew you've just chosen. So this, it's a voting mechanism, really. You always hear, you vote with your dollars. Don't buy shit you don't care for. Don't buy bad companies and stuff because you're giving them your vote. Same thing here. when you look at this brew machine, the UI, you'll see a bunch of buttons like you would on a vending machine, and it's gonna have whatever the logo is, right? Like you'll see EMP, you'll see Drip, you'll see PayPay Coin, you'll see whatever community it might be. You'll see bonks on there, and
Mm-hmm.
when you choose that, that half of the Bitcoin that you're paying for that brew is gonna go to that community, go to that project, and they can use it to buy and burn their tokens. They can use it for community giveaways. They can do whatever they want with it. But
Right.
that's like our main partnership feature right now, where we can represent your community, your project in our game, so it gets visibility. People can see it. It's on the brew machine, and it allows players to vote on this. You have to buy a brew to fight, right? No one's going to go into a fight damaged or super weak because you're probably going to lose. So you want to be full health.
Right.
So you're going to have to buy this health potion, and by doing that, you support the players and you support the community that you just voted for.
In terms of reaction, what's that been like? Because I
It's been
know I saw you put something out there in terms of drip, because I know you come from drip. There feels like there's an amount of drip influence that runs through this a little.
Sure. So that
And
was my first project in 2021 that I got into, right? That's why I got my MetaMask
right,
going and stuff, and that was like the first project that I was like, hey, let's try this out. And again, talking to Yabonks, he's like, hey, we're getting this one, we're getting that one. I'm like, cool. I found this drip one, I found that one. Everyone's going nuts in 2 years ago, 2021. And that project has suffered greatly. And I was like, you know what? They need utility. All these projects need utility at the end of the day. And that's what Bitfighters brings harder than anything else. It's pure
mm,
utility built on Bitcoin. I mean, as I go through the economy loop, everything I'm saying is just nothing but utility. It's just compounding upon itself. So the idea is that, hey, you got a token, we can give some kind of utility to it to where, we're using it. It's being used for something. And of course, we use that token to make this brew, if you kind of look at it that way. We sell
hmm
this brew for Bitcoin. We use that Bitcoin to go buy more of your token to go use it to make more brew. And that's kind of the cycle of it. And it gives it utility. Now it's being used as an ingredient in something that the players need to play this game. Like you cannot play Bitfighters without buying brew, unless someone's buying it for you, but someone's buying it. Otherwise, you're going to have zero
right,
health. Anyway,
okay,
that's how Drip kind of came to be the first one. Like I pitched it to them. Actually, I didn't pitch it to them. I pitched them different games. I said, hey, you need utility. I make games. Let's make you a little something we can whip up in a few weeks and get this thing moving. And nah, not interested, not interested. And I said, they're like, hey, what's this Bitfighters game? I'm like, you don't want to look at that. You're not interested in that. And they loved it, wouldn't let it go. And they actually wanted to make it something much bigger than what I was pitching it for. I was pitching it, drip utility and this and that. And like, no, we can't do that. Drip will make it look bad. We have to make it its own thing. This thing's too good for drip. And I'm like, I can't believe you're saying this. Like, if your community could hear this right now, I don't think they like that very much.
right.
So for better or worse, I kind of, I'm committed to it because I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to do it. But soon after launch, we're going to open it up for these other partners that we've been talking to. And the feedback that we've got has been great. And as you can imagine, there's like unless you don't want to be associated with us, unless you just don't want
Mm,
your name in Bitfighters at all, because for whatever reason, there's really no risk. All we're doing is giving you representation in the game, letting people vote on your project and put Bitcoin towards your community wallet. Um,
right.
and it's been good. There's
Yeah.
only been one project. I'm not going to say any names, but it's a big one. It's a big one. I'm sure you guys know of them. But I said, hey, we can buy and burn your token, and that kind of upset him a little bit. Like, how dare you buy and burn the token? You don't understand it. We need to do something else with it. I'm like, okay, well, you can help me understand that. I'm all ears. But that's the idea. We
Now
can.
I'm super curious on what that project is.
When I'm kicking my feet up on the desk and we made it, I'll let you know.
Okay. Fair. Yeah, I mean, it was a curious question for me to ask because I can imagine there are going to be a lot of people that are going to really love this idea and want the exposure, and there are perhaps some people that are going to be dubious about this and might be sitting on the fence waiting to watch it fully launch, see what direction it goes in, and then I suspect you might find a bit of a snowball effect. When you guys are successful, which you aim to be, that this then starts to gain traction and more projects, even the ones that perhaps have rejected you to date, start coming back around and saying, actually, we quite like the idea. Do you mind if we jump in now?
Well, here's the thing about it. No one can truly reject us, right? Because everything comes down to an address, a contract address. We can take any contract address we want and we can go buy and burn your token. We can support you without your approval. There's nothing
Right.
stopping that. But what we want to do obviously is collaborate with you. We want to know, hey, how can we best use this Bitcoin wallet, this fund that we're accumulating for your project, your community? How do you want to use it?
hmm
How does your community want to use it? That's always our wish, is to collaborate and do exactly what you guys want to do. But the default, buy and burn's always the default example, because I think that's kind of an easy one. But
Right.
whatever's best is what we want to do.
We're running a little low on time, so I'm going to ask only a couple more questions. One of them is going to be about your relationship with the person that you speak very highly of, Vader. Um, collaborations are great, mutual growth is great. There's going to be times when you guys clash.
Oh, we
And
do.
one of the things a lot of investors are going to want to know is, how do you manage that dynamic? What happens when you have, bearing in mind it's your baby, you've had this kind of, in your pocket for some time now, for many years. What happens when a clash occurs? And ultimately, how do you resolve that kind of issue?
Yeah, that is a really good question. So I want to commend you on that. And I'm also going to just reference my own background as being a product owner and game designer and just working with production teams. Any
Hmm.
making games is all about balancing and I don't want to say appeasing, but considering everyone's idea, because everyone on the team's gonna have ideas, right? You could be the lead designer, you could be the product owner, you could be the one that's really calling the shots. But you have to imagine everyone's gonna want to have ideas. Everyone's got ideas. They want to do this, they want to do that, and some of them might be good, some of them might not be so great. But how do you keep everyone happy? Because they got to stay motivated. You want to keep them, full effort on the project and stuff. Um,
Hmm.
and also, my being a project management professional for the last decade, I have tons of experience with just managing and the teams and leading. I don't want to say managing. I don't like that word, but like leading and coaching and being a team player. And so here's what it looks like. So I want to talk about Vader because I love this guy so much. He's amazing. A
Please
true
do.
blessing, on it, quite honestly. When I first kicked this off, like I said, about a year ago, after I dust off the book cover and started pulling this one back out, I knew right away that this thing's way too ambitious. I got a full time job, a family, a farm. I'm super busy. I can make games in the evening in my free time, but they're nothing to this scale. It's way too big, and that's why
Hmm.
I actually got shelved a second time. But I made posts. I went out to all these different communities, to game development communities, art communities, Web3 communities, looking for two roles. I needed two roles. I needed a back end DevOps developer, someone with just a good, strong server architecture skills, and I need an artist. And the first dude that reached out to me on that post was Vader, very first guy. And I am not one to go with the first person ever. I like to have like at least a handful of people to like talk to and check out.
Right.
This dude, he saw it. He saw it right away. He's like, dude, I see what you're doing, man. You're not using native tokens, your own native token. You're using Bitcoin, and you're opening this thing up to be anyone can plug into this thing. It's a hub. It becomes like a social meeting hub for all the projects and communities to hang out, and it's
Hmm.
focused on the players. And it clicked right away for him, and then we took off. the The artist experience was the exact opposite. And what I learned, being I guess an amateur artist myself, um, I artists they need to get paid right now, like for every little thing. And I get it, because art is a lot. It's a lot more nebulous, I guess, right? Like, code either works or it doesn't. It's either like best practice and like it's built for future state, or it's not. And
Right.
art is like everywhere in between, all at the same time. Is it good? I think so, but someone else doesn't think so. Is it done? Maybe it's good enough. And it did not work out. We actually found one guy, he was into it, could just not like deliver. And so I was like, you know what? We cut it really short. I'm like, you know what? I can paint. I'll just do it. So that's how we got the
Right.
artist. But yeah, Vader, man, he was just, like I said, a blessing. I don't know how else to describe it. I got super lucky with him, and I would not have made it this far without him. We've both worked with nothing but sweat equity and a dream for a year now. And I'm pretty difficult to deal with. I'll be quite honest. My wife would definitely agree with that. And and he knows it too. I mean, I probably get in the most fights with my best friends. I don't know if you guys feel the
Right.
same way. I think I've read up something about it
Yeah.
one time. But you're more likely to argue and get into conflicts with the people that you care about the most or something. And
Hmm.
dude, we fight pretty often. We'll get into it
So,
sometimes.
so a
But
perfect storm of personalities coming together, and your ability to manage teams is really what allows you guys to have a nice dynamic working relationship that also allows you to disagree with one another. And has he ever overruled you on anything? Have you allowed him to do that?
I don't know overrule, but I mean he's definitely convinced me on stuff. Absolutely. Oh yeah, he's changed my
Okay,
mind on all kinds of stuff. You know, I'd say I don't know, bro. I don't think that's gonna, and he'd be like, well, here's why and here's this. And I'll be like, you know what, Invader, we trust. And I'll be like,
right,
you know, because I trust him. At the end of the day, I trust him.
right.
And here's
Yeah,
why you
and
guys
great.
should trust you guys. Here's why you guys should trust him and me. So first of all, we're KYC'd two ways, and with Ava Labs, if you guys know them through Avalanche, I'm like completely doxxed. Like my face is out there, and like my CEO at my game studio, like he knows I'm working on this game. I had to get whitelisted, right? He doesn't let us work on games without him knowing about it, and
Right.
so like I'm known. So Invader, he's KYC'd too. So
Great. And I liked your correction there to say that he hasn't overruled you on anything, but he has convinced you. I think that is key to any good working relationship. It's not about one person having more say over another, but it's about being able to bounce ideas off of one another. And if you're convinced by any particular idea, then you run with it.
absolutely, yeah.
And kind of, just letting go of that control and just saying, actually, I like that idea more than I did my own, and we'll go with that.
Yeah. I mean, at
Um,
the end of the day,
last
the truth is the most powerful thing, right? Like I'm all about radical transparency and truth, and the truth is the truth. And
Right.
if it's right and if it's real, then who am I to argue against it?
Right. Yes, agreed. Um, we're going to run the giveaway soon. As people know, one of the criteria for being eligible is going to be jumping into your Discord. So I'm just going to link that now as I ask you the last question. And the last question is, who do you believe? And it could be, project, whale, individual. But what kind of person do you believe this game is going to most benefit? And what kind of things other than and outside of the fun, people are here obviously to make money. That's why we're in Web3. What kind of, I don't want to say amounts can they expect to make, but how fruitful can they imagine this is going to be if they believe in your vision, they get behind your vision and help you push the vision where you believe it can be?
All right, great final questions. So this game again is a game that I built for someone like me, a game that I want to play, which is a poor degenerate. This game is for people who, you know, they just want to get into a game, be active, be social. It's a browser based game. You go to the website, you drop in. It's very easy to get into the game, and hopefully you can have some fun and win some prizes. But the game is meant for, yeah, just your average degen, like someone that just wants to play and have like hang out with other people, be in a shared space with other people, and get into some mischief. Really, there's gonna be a lot to do, a lot going on in this game. Vader and I are super committed. We want to just keep delivering features. After we launch, we just want to roll out these features continuously, indefinitely. We have at least like a 4-year roadmap, I would estimate. The
Wow.
value
Yeah.
proposition, are going back to how much you can make. That's going to depend on how much you're willing to bet and how much the other player is willing to bet, because it's a zero sum game. So you need someone to take your bet. So if you bet a little and they bet a lot, and there's no one else betting your amount, they're all betting a lot more than you, it'll take the smallest amount and match it up.
Right.
At the best case, there's a 10%, we call it the 10% PPS tax for products, prizes, and services. So anytime you benefit in the game, there's a 10% tax, and you can check out the Git book of how that breaks down. 2% here, 2% there, 2% here, to the prize pools, to the jackpots, all the distribution, because again, we want to get this all back to the players. But I gotta put this in here because we didn't get a chance to touch on it. But one of the best ways, and this doesn't apply to me or a lot of other people, because I don't have much social clout, I guess, or much influence out in cyberspace. But for all you YouTube influencers or any community leaders, there is such a good method of earning, I believe, here through the gang referral system, and that's just by whoever. You have to join a gang, right? You got to be part of someone's gang. You're either part of the systems by default, or you can join someone else's. And that part of that PPS tax goes to your gang leader. 2% of all your winnings. If you win a jackpot, if you win a random drop, if you win a prize, or if you win a fight and get your prize, if you are a mine owner and you're conducting business and you're earning, anytime you earn, 2% of that goes to your gang leader. So influencers, community leaders are very much incentivized to onboard the communities, build large gangs, and passively earn Bitcoin 24/7, which I think is phenomenal. That does not apply to me. I am not one of those people. I'd be hard pressed to get a couple friends to join me, probably. But what I would do as a poor degen, how I describe myself, I'd probably be buying like a mine on the secondary market. I probably couldn't. Maybe I could afford to mint a tier one mine. Maybe not. Maybe it's out of my price range. But I could go buy someone else's that are trying to sell it. Maybe some other guy, he had a mine. Half of it, the value's been mined out of it. It's not worth as much as it was. I could afford that. I could go buy that mine now for pennies on the dollar. Go set up shop and maybe ROI. So that's probably a strategy that I would do. I would be looking for opportunities like that on the secondhand market, maybe. But you can earn and be in this game. I can't quantify it. I wouldn't even take a guess. And like I said at the beginning of the call, by just engaging, just by being at the right place at the right time. For example, if there is a large prize drop and you're in a room and it happens and you're the first one to get it, that could be huge. And you just got it just because you're in the right place at the right time and you were just hanging out.
Right. Last question, I guess, from now that you've added that on is when and how can we start making gangs is what Serenity is asking.
You can do it right now. So right now, if you go to bitfighters.club and you go to mint, it will add, you can copy your referral link right there right now. And it's simply just your wallet address. Anyone that clicks that referral link will be taken to our mint page and your wallet address will be pasted into the mint machine, the panel of the Mint-O-Matic. So you can start your games right now before launch and start building them out.
Well, I can sense a rival gang to Serenity's coming his way. Serenity and I are gonna do battle for a tent that he stole from me not that long ago. So I look forward to playing it. It sounds super interesting. It was very interesting to look into. There's so much going on that it was almost impossible to fit it into a 30-minute chat, which is why we've gone slightly longer. But I hope to have you back at some point in the not too distant future so we can do a real deep dive into this and sit down for a good couple of hours and really get into the weeds of what it's all about.
I would love that. That sounds great. Thanks again for having me back.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm sure people are going to be super interested. As I've already said, they've got to jump into your Discord to be eligible. Do you want to just mention what it is that they can win? Because this is slightly different to what we normally do, and it's
okay.
Quite fun.
Yeah. So what we're giving away? We have 10 bit fighters, and a bit fighter is just your Pokemon card, I guess. You get one. It's one fighter. That's all you need to get into the game. I would recommend collecting a handful of them because they're going to have different attributes, and you're probably going to check them out and find the one that's best for you. But all you need is one just to get in the game and hang out, chat, see people, walk around, explore the city. So one will get you in the game. And right now they're priced at whatever Bitcoin is. They're at 2,000th of a Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's at 25K, you're looking at $5 for a bit fighter right now. But at launch, the price increases 50%. Of course, to incentivize everyone to buy a couple now. Last time I checked, we were 25% minted out. I'm not sure what it's at right now. But hopefully they go fast between now and our launch date about 4 weeks from now.
Great. Yes, I'm sure they will. Zach, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to speaking to you again. Hang around if you want. There's been plenty of other questions that have been thrown into the community questions channel.
Okay,
so if you see any that you fancy answering, then by all means go for it. And yeah, I look forward to speaking to you at some point in the future.
Likewise. Thanks again for having me. Great time. Thanks, guys.
Pleasure. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.